I want to speak about what we all feel are end times. End times. I think as a researcher, we definitely face a climactic end as we know it, which doesn't mean the end of the world. Could mean the end of the population for humans to live comfortably. So we do. We face a climactic end. And yet, in research that I do, the reason I'm making this video is because we control atomic motion, which means we can fix climates and other things that ail us. A number of things happen with this research that I do. One, we learn to travel to the stars. This is going to be done in the next 10 years. The atoms communicate, and when we get good at what we do, and we have recipes for the different species of entanglement, they call it, then we can create all of these forces that we know today to be gravity, electromagnetism, strong and weak forces around the atom, things that you see like lightning. We can reproduce those. But for mankind, it means that your folks will be the last generation to perish, to die. You and I and the folks around us will not. We will live, number one, because we control atomic motion for 1,000 years. And yet, the physics will take, a year or two or 10 to get up and going. But in the meantime, we actually have research that I've also done in what we call AUFI, A-U-F-I, Advanced Undetected Floral Innervation, that talks about a new phenomena, floral innervation, where the flora in your gut evolved to grow between cells and tissues in your body throughout your lifetime. It's what we understand to be metabolism, the effects of metabolism and aging and disease. As a matter of fact, without AUFI, or what we religiously call sin, we wouldn't age and we wouldn't die. So were you to follow some very simple, basic laws or rules regarding AUFI, without the physics, you could extend your life hundreds of years. And what that basically says is that flora ferment and they produce sugar. All right. Now through time, evolution, they taught your bodies how to produce sugar for them, not for you. Yeah, we learn in school that sugar is produced in our body for us for energy, and that's just not the case. So were you to stop eating sugar and things that convert readily to sugar, you would extend your life. You would stop all disease. You would think more clearly. Let's see. So on a site with Native Americans, it's a closed site, and I get to see and feel and hear and listen to how they feel. And they have this prophecy, it's called the seventh generation. And they are in the seventh generation right now, where end times are upon us, or upon them. And people of the earth of like minds come together in peace. It's similar to the Christian revelations where Christ comes back. So native peoples feel what we feel. Now they are beginning to gather, and they talk about it in these circles. I was going to post some on my Facebook for you to see, but I haven't. Anyway, I'm posting this video, one, because those of you who do believe in God should feel good, because end times are upon us. And what I tell you in private in this video is that we have research that corrects all the stuff that's been done, the naughty stuff, and we can fix all that. And with a few modifications to economy, we can live well together, reestablish a middle class. We can do, I think I talk about it in other videos, but there are three things that I suggest that we do when I talk about social changes. And one is to invert the hierarchy of power in governments. And what that means is that with just a stroke of a pen, we create legislation that inverts the power structure. From low to high, high to low. A president wouldn't have supreme power to, he wouldn't have the power to create executive orders. He wouldn't have the power to balance the legislature and the judicial branch. The governors that would convene to vote on how that president, any president, would then establish himself and on any principle. So the role of the president then becomes one of giving lectures and conveying issues and try and persuade the 50 governors in this country to then vote. And then the governors themselves are not let alone to decide these issues. As a matter of fact, the municipal level then convenes to decide what these governors will, how they will vote on any issue. And so it actually goes down to the local level, so that you and I have all the power that we've given up over the last few hundred years. In the economy, what you find out when you study economics, macro and micro, is that the corporation that was formed in the 1600s is a way to separate people and to separate investment and interest, business interest, from human interest, and it just is the single source of destruction to our, number one, economy, to our education, to our environment, to our oceans, our air, to our family. It has destroyed the family itself. And just by outlawing the corporate form of conducting business only, then we reestablish economy overnight. And that would mean that banks, our largest banks, wouldn't be able to survive with the liability that they would then have without that corporate protection. And so you would just have smaller banks. Walmarts, they wouldn't be able to survive at that level, that level of size with that amount of liability. So we would just have smaller businesses. And what we would find is that the local economies would flourish. People would go through high school and they would look around in their communities and they would see, well, I want to grow up to do this or that, because they see the need in their local economy. We would reestablish the family. We would reestablish ideals. We would reestablish price. Prices are extremely high and low because of corporations. We have inflation that is renamed as cost of living adjustments is because of corporations. Corporations concentrate money and power, so we just outlaw that and we actually reestablish our economy. The other thing we're going to do, what I'd like to do as a researcher, and I talk about this quite a bit, is to hold public hearings. Now, what this would do, this is allow societies to heal, to learn specifically what has been done. Specific companies like Monsanto, what waterways have they polluted specifically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, for this we would hold public hearings automatically for every corporate officer, now and in the past, and every major investor. We would pick a number, but probably at the $10 million level and above. If you have that wealth, then you would be held in public hearing, and you would then confess your sins, basically. And that's what I think with the research that I have, we would then be able to correct things in society.